So after all the messages and emails and comments on the last video about the motorbikes, and I did tell you that I was going to have a play with one and try and get one running. It's Christmas Eve, we've got a bit of time, and we've kept this one out to have a bit of a fiddle with. So I have already removed the battery that was in it. That had been in there since 1989, and you could tell it was bone dry, not a spot of acid in it. I haven't got any paperwork for this one, but all the numbers are intact, and the frame number is YC101, which from a dating list that I managed to find makes it 1948, so it is quite an early one. Quick look over, I've noticed that throttle cable's stuck. There's no key, but just a flat blade will turn it over. The ignition switch is broken. I'm assuming that's what it is anyway. Luckily there was a spare one of those in the lot when we picked them up. So here's the ignition switch. I think it's only a cheap modern replacement, but it will do the job. Handlebar grip and the battery. I'm a bit surprised that they suggest using one of these sealed type, but for 11 quid, that's what was suggested. We'll give it a try. So for starters, let's get that old ignition switch off the handlebar and replaced with the new one. Now it is what appears to be just a very simple clamp with a screw through it in the bottom. So that's very simple and straightforward. That looks pretty much the same. So we'll just pull the wires out and put them back in. Like so. And then we can put that back together and fit it to the bike. Like that. Wire goes out like that. And that goes on the shaped part in the bottom to fit the handlebar. Tighten the screw up. When it eventually behaves. One new ignition switch. So then the battery will slide straight to the old battery box. From what I can gather, this is actually an old battery that will have had the guts ripped out of it, so that you can fit another battery inside it to keep the look, which I do think is quite cool. It does want a new connector on here, but for now we're going to make this one work. Open it up a little bit, like so. This is very much just a can we get it running video, as opposed to what it actually needs, which is a bit of a strip down and clean up of everything. So that's a battery connected. We won't fit the cover for now because it doesn't really fit with the wiring how it is. So next we have a new handlebar grip. That's how easily that one slides off. Yeah, might be original, but split. 7 quid for 2 on eBay. So we'll whack that on there like so. So I guess now we should have a little look excuse me, at the ignition side of things. So do we think we'll get away with quite simply just cleaning the plug? Let's not forget these have been sat since the mid-80s, so 40 years. Christ, 40 years. We'll give that a clean and see if we have any life. So that's one cleanish plug. I say cleanish because it's not clean, but it should be clean enough to show us whether we're going to get a spark or not. Battery is connected. Screwdriver just to turn the ignition, which was on. And see. Of course it's not going to let us get away that easy, so we'll have to investigate a little bit further. So the next port of call is going to be the points. So we've been in and raided the missus's nail files. Always a pack in the kitchen cupboard, it's always handy. And surprise, surprise, they are all furred up. So, like I've said, this isn't by any means a restoration. I'll grab a screwdriver. This is just a, can we get it to run after so long? Between the points and give it a bit of backwards and forwards. You can see the crap coming off there straight away. And then turn the file around and straight away look at the crap on the end of there, and then there, and we've actually used both ends on there and on there. Not saying they're clean, that should be clean enough to give us a hint of spark if that was the problem. So I've now set the camera up, I'm going to kick it over. I hope that you can see the plug if there is a spark. Ignition on, and sure enough there is a spark. Fantastic. Now we need to move on to the carb. So as I said earlier, the cable is sticking and the top of the carb's not too keen on coming off, but it's better now. Hopefully we can pull the slide out. It's actually the slide that's stuck. It may make the things easier. So we need to find something to get in there and just try and help that slide free a little bit. In fact, I think at this point we're probably just as well to whip the carb off. Slightly too big. Whip the carb off so we can have a look and see for ourselves just what's going on. That's one. Get the other one. And just about every fixing on this bike is seized or at least a little bit rusted up, but it's allowed to be after 40 years in a damp garage. So I've dropped out the side like that. Now obviously this carb wants taking off, stripping and cleaning if we was doing a proper job. But as I've told you, this is just a can we get it to run. That really is well stuck in there. I'm not too keen on prying any harder. That's not great news. So with a little bit of petrol and a little bit of prying, we managed to get it out. I think that was just manky old petrol, to be honest. So we do need that to slide in and out of there as nicely as possible. Can't imagine that's going to be fantastically simple, but we will give it a shot. Does appear to be sliding. No, getting stuck again. So it does really need to come off and go in an ultrasonic bath. But that has freed that slide up now. Enough for us to say we can try it out, I think. So we'll put that back in there like that. There's a little tab at the back there that does need to sit down in the correct place. There we go. And then that threads back on like so. Now I did cheat a little bit while the camera was off. I did have a look in the float bowl and it looks like it probably actually drained when it was last used. So I'm hoping a splash in the float bowl should give us a bite that's going to fire up. I've also checked the oil in the tank. Doesn't look dirty at all. Don't think it was changed long before it was last used. So I haven't dropped it, but I have added a little bit of fresh oil to it just to bring the level up, as it only is for a quick fire up. I don't think it'll hurt. Can't be anything too nasty in that old oil for the few seconds that we're going to run it. I say few seconds, we all know that if it fires up and runs nicely, I'm going to ride to the bottom of the avenue on it. But we'll see about that. That's down nicely like that. Like so. So let's fill the float bowl up with fuel. Like that. Check that the throttle works, which it does, and give her a kick. Take it off the stand, because apparently these have a habit of bending. And on three. You wouldn't believe that was the first kick, would you? It generally is. I think she's got a bit of oil in it. Right, there we have it. She's a runner. We've got to have another little bit of a fiddle just to see if we can get it down the bottom of the road. Just let it warm up for a little while before we try and take it up the road. Put some fuel in the tank. We'll see how it performs. we go, sports fans. Can you get it to run after sitting in a garage for 40 years? Yes, you can. So, what would you like to see next? Bit of a strip down, clean up and rebuild of this one? Or a can we get it started video on one of the others? Let us know in the comments. Please do remember to like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, goodbye.